be told, the outline for this talk was totally different 4 days ago.
It's true.
So we're gonna, when we get to the COVID regulations part, there'll be a lot of time to share about how we're all reacting to Governor Baker's new restrictions. But Suzy's gonna start off, talk about what's happening in North Adams this summer. I'm gonna take over, talk a little bit about what's happening in the hospitality industry. And then we're all just gonna brainstorm together. It's gonna be great.
It's going to be amazing. You're going to love this. So everyone can see our presentation, yes, I'm assuming. Tourism.
Yes. Yep, it's there.
2021 in North Adams, Massachusetts. Hold on one second.
There it is.
Yeah. So events are still a thing, and things are happening this summer, which we're pretty psyched about. What everyone should know is even if the COVID restrictions were going to stay in place throughout the summer, a lot of us that are in the events business were planning smaller outdoor events, figuring out capacities we could work with and what worked with our budgets. But, you know, we were planning August 1st would be a free-for-all, but now it's going to be like next weekend, which, you know, we're all adjusting as quickly as we can. So all this information I would expect is just a snippet of what you're actually going to see happening this summer. There's still a ton that I have to show you, but I would expect a lot of new announcements and surprises coming very soon, and we'll tell you how to keep in touch with us so that you know when those things happen. So first, we'll start with, we're going to talk about what's happening. We'll go through the list of the larger kind of mass MoCA and city events, and then we'll talk a little bit about the grassroots efforts because there's tons of those. Too much to cover today probably, but I'll give you links to how to subscribe to find out how those things are going on. What's not happening this summer, which is a really short list. Those things were predetermined because they take months and months of planning, and they're on the burners until next year. And then what's happening elsewhere within the Berkshires so that you know what's happening, when to expect crowds, what's a day trip away so people might be still visiting North Adams, and that you're aware of that. So we'll start there. Summer events 2021. Okay, what we are doing in North Adams this summer and when you should show up. Weekly events. The farmers market kicks off its summer season on June 5th, which is just a couple of Saturdays away. It will be moving back to its usual home in the St. Anthony's parking lot, which is across the street from Mass MoCA and St. Elizabeth's Church. It's every Saturday, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m., rain or shine, a lot of amazing local farms and food vendors. You should come support the market. It's a great like microeconomy within the city. It's also a great community engagement point. We will probably try to add back in music. We hadn't planned it for the summer, but now that we know we can, we probably will. We also will bring back picnic tables. We'll try to get some prepared foods there now that we know that that's okay. We're gonna make it as normal as possible because I think we're all ready for that. We'll also say with all these events, while all the restrictions will be lifted by the time most of these things happen, if you're not comfortable not being masked and not being close to people, we encourage people to do what they feel best about. You want to wear your mask all summer long, go for it. You want to stay away from us, don't know why you would, but feel free to do
What's
that.
wrong with you?
What? Yeah, I mean, we're great. So concerts at Windsor Lake. We're also doing the concert series this summer. It is also free. It's every Wednesday night at Windsor Lake in North Adams. We're starting a little late, a couple of weeks late this season. It's going to start on June 16th. 6:30 to 8 p.m. every Wednesday, mostly local musicians. The lineup hasn't been announced yet, but it will be announced within the next 2 weeks. We're just finalizing it and getting our marketing materials printed and ready. And then that's weekly for the larger city-sponsored events. There are tons of grassroots things that we'll talk about in a minute, but for the city, that's where we're at. For monthly, Movies Under the Stars is another free community event. It happens in Colgrove Park on North Church Street in North Adams. It's going to be once a month, the last Friday of every month, and those start at dusk. So the hours actually change from month to month as the sunset changes. The first one in June is June 25th, and it'll start probably 8:45 p.m. It's a little late. We haven't figured out the movie theme this year, but that will be announced in the next 2 weeks. Also, now that we know we can do all these things pretty freely. First Fridays, this is brand new, and this is not initiated by the city. This is initiated by the business community. The downtown business community has taken it upon themselves to be open late together from 4 to 8 p.m. on the first Friday evening of every month. This is brand new. If you haven't been downtown in a while, there's a ton of stores that are brand new that open either during COVID or about to open or just opened this past weekend. There's also a lot of businesses that have been there for decades that are still in existence. A lot of people survived COVID, and it's actually a pretty vibrant little business community downtown. So they're encouraging you to come down first Fridays, support your local business owners. They're the people that help support your kids' t-ball leagues and baseball and softball. They need your support as much as you need them. So do that first Fridays. Specific dates, not weekly or monthly. Mass Mocha is kicking it off on Memorial Day weekend. We also expect it to be busy downtown, and especially with the state lifting all COVID restrictions. I think people that are excited and feel safe and are ready to get down there and spend money are going to do it. People who aren't super psyched about everything kind of opening up again will stay home, but I think you're going to see a lot of people downtown. Mass Mocha has a pretty exciting exhibit opening. There's a James Turrell Sky Space, which is opening that weekend. It's called, what's it called?
Sky Space.
It's a Sky Space, but it's called sorry.
It doesn't matter. It's a Sky Space.
No, CAVU, which sounds like Sea of U.
Oh, yeah.
Like CAVU.
It's funny.
It's part of your ticket admission to Mass Mocha. If you want to see the dawn or dusk openings when the roof is open and you can watch the sunset and sunrise over the Sky Space, that's actually fully booked through the end of August. But you can go in during museum hours. The roof will be closed. It will still be spectacular. They're also having their first like outdoor in-person concert in a long time that weekend. It'll be in Courtyard D. I think the capacity might be limited or it's limited right now, but that might change considering all the rules are changing. We'll see what happens with that. We'll be meeting with them next week. That's kind of the big stuff that's happening Memorial Day weekend. There's also a great seedling swap if you like free seedlings on Eagle Street.
Adorable.
There's a really cool pop-up like music series that is funded by the Artist Impact Coalition and Mass Cultural Council, and it's organized by a local musician, Zach Hahn. It's called Steeple City Sounds, and we're excited. It's going to be the weekend of Juneteenth, so it's 6/18 through 6/20. There'll be one in Bracewell Park on the 18th. I think the one on the 19th is at the Armory parking lot, and the one on the 20th is going to be at Windsor Lake. The Google Doc you get will have all the information on how to access that information when it's happening. It's all free. There are Juneteenth events happening. Mass Mocha has a lot of stuff planned for the 19th of June, and I'm sure more things will pop up within the city as people feel a little more comfortable planning events. The 4th of July fireworks are gonna happen. We're gonna make sure we have the money, and that's gonna happen 4th of July after the Steeple Cats game. So they'll start around dusk whenever that game ends at Joe Wolf Field.
Get your babysitters now.
Put your dog in the bathtub right now.
Yeah.
So that is happening, which we're psyched about. It was sad to not have that last year. Also, Mass Mocha has its big Free in the 413 Community Day. That will be happening July 17th this year. So expect a lot of people in town that weekend. It's usually a huge day for them. I think, again, on the programming and events, they're a little bit light on that as of right now. But I think now that we know that everything's opening as of May 29th, everything is subject to change, and expect a lot of new announcements. The Bang on a Can Loud Festival is happening at the end of July. That's also, there's a lot of people in town, not just to attend the festival, but a lot of the musicians that are staying in town for those couple of weeks are about town. They love visiting the community. They like shopping at the shops. Be available for them. National Night Out, if you're not familiar with that, it is an annual event. It's nationwide. It's the first Tuesday of every August, and it is a night celebrating your safety services and connecting community with your safety services. So it's an opportunity for your police department, your fire department, your ambulatory services to connect with the community that they serve. They have been rock stars this past year, and they all deserve our support and a little interaction. So hopefully that's happening. We're having a meeting about that tomorrow. More news to come, but it's free. It's really great. It's an amazing family event. Expect people around for that. We are going to have the downtown celebration probably at the end of August. It's a huge downtown celebration. We'll close off all the roads. We will have all the community nonprofits out, plus performances and businesses. We haven't figured out a date because we'd like to do it on a Saturday this year since we're not doing a few other events. More news to come on that, when it's going to happen and what the hours will be. Steeplecats, our local baseball collegiate team for the summer, they are having a season. It kicks off the first weekend in June. Come out and support them. It's great. It's a lot of fun. It's one of the most beautiful backdrops for a baseball game you've ever seen. And the Fresh Grass Festival at Massimoka is happening this year, September 24th to 26th. And that's when we move into fall, and I'm going to stop there for the larger events. The things we're not doing this year, and I didn't make a slide because it's sad.
Bummer slide.
It's a bummer slide. We're not going to do that. Solid Sound is postponed to 2022. We'll all look forward to the next year. Dates TBD. Motorama, sadly, is not going to happen this year. A lot of it is due to the fundraising efforts. The comfort of the organizers have put in tons of work into that. So we'll patiently wait for 2022 for that. The Eagle Street Beach Party is also not going to happen this year, largely because at the time we didn't think that things were going to open up until August 1st, and it's a little hard to plan events like that. It was such short notice.
I'm still not ready for a sandbox party. I don't know about you.
There's also that. Yeah.
Not ready.
You'll be ready by next year, though.
Yeah, next year I'll bring my A game.
Okay, so I'm going to stop there for a moment before we talk about the rest of the Berkshires and ask if anybody has questions about what is happening this summer.
I think Michaela's going to have to unmute people. Is anybody?
Can you hear me? It's Anna.
Oh, hey, Anna.
Hey, Anna.
Hi. Thank you so much for boosting First Fridays. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for spearheading it. We appreciate it.
And I'm so excited to see all these fabulous events that are happening.
It's happening.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
Great. Yeah, we're excited. We're ready to get back to it.
Yeah, we all are, totally.
What's up, Jess?
Is the monthly e-blast coming back?
Yes, so that's like that's like 4 slides from now.
Okay, sorry.
Pause too soon.
I might have paused too soon. I can also just maybe go through what's happening elsewhere in the Berkshires, and then we'll get to that slide.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do that then.
Yeah, do your plan.
We just weren't sure when you guys wanted to talk to us.
Yeah, whenever you want to talk to us.
We wanted to be available. Okay, so also happening in the Berkshires. This is just what I was able to gather from right now. But again, with this announcement last week, I think you're going to see this change pretty quickly and pretty dramatically. Adams, I know the Baskin Lodge is planning their summer season. They do plan to have a jazz festival and other events there. I will give you the link to their website if you want to see when those events are happening. I believe they are also, I think they rescheduled some of their Susan B. Anthony events that were going to happen last year to 2021. I couldn't find the information on that, but once I do, I will make it available to you. Williamstown Theater Festival is happening this year. It's outdoors. It's both at the lawn at the Williamstown Theater, the 62 Center, but it's also at the Clark. So they have 2 locations. That possibly is subject to change based on what's been announced, but for now, that's what we know. I'll give you the links to those. Tanglewood is happening. They announced the season. It's supposed to start in June, but looking at their site, a lot of things have been postponed. And the first one that I saw that was actually still scheduled as it was written was for July. So I'll give you the link to their site so you can keep up to date with that. Shakespeare and Company is starting in July. Beckett, Jacob's Pillow is open again. They have live performances from the end of June through the end of July. Pittsfield, the Berkshire Theater Group, the Colonial is already active and will remain active throughout the summer. And I believe their Third Thursdays events are happening starting at least in July. I don't think it's happening in June, but July, August, September. I'll double check those dates. So that is what I have right now that's happening in the rest of the Berkshires. But once we get the North Adams Happenings e-blast updated and started again, when those events come up, new events in and around will be listed there on a weekly basis. And if you're signed up, you will receive that every Wednesday. So expect surprises and late announcements. This is all new to us. We all were planning to have lots of rules and capacities and circles painted on the grass and masks and volunteers. And we're just apparently opening.
We're just doing it. We're doing it.
Yeah.
Next weekend.
People have a lot of different thoughts about if that's a good idea or a bad idea, but we're going to roll with the state recommendations and let people do what they feel the most comfortable with.
Totally.
Yeah. So speaking of that, the smaller grassroots efforts in our community, and not to say that they're not as significant as the big ones, they're just a lot of them. So it's hard to get them all right now, and I don't know all the details. We do expect, like, Common Folk has Tuesday Tunes at Bright Ideas, Hilo North Adams, which is one of our music venues, is reopening. Tourists.
The airport rooms is opening next weekend,
The
Memorial
airport
Day.
rooms is opening.
It's coming back, baby.
There will be pop-up concerts all over the place.
Look at the claps.
It's going to be awesome. The Wigwam Western Summit does some pop-up stuff, Installation Space, the Plant Connector, Fright Yard Pub, Greylock Works, and lots of youth and teen activities.
You did not miss a single thing.
I try to like capture it all. I
You did a
care.
really good job,
I care.
Suzy.
Thank you. Like the Uno Community Center, the Roots Teen Center, the Family Center, the Northern Berkshire Family Center, they all provide so many activities that are free to our community all summer long. And I expect to see a lot of them coming up again. And so we're going to try to capture them in the e-blast. We're also going to have 3 new murals this summer. One massive one on the Housing Authority building on Ashland Street, like a full 8-story mural will be installed this June, and 2 selfie murals, one on Holden Street next to Melissa Lilly's That's Nice mural, and then another one on the side of the Village Pizza. All those will be installed before June 30th. There's also going to be some cool outdoor spaces in the Center Street parking lot near the big, the back of the Mohawk Theater, where the mural of the poppies and the ladies are dancing. There's going to be seating, outdoor seating that's for the public, an information stand, and more murals. It's going to be great. It's going to be the best summer ever. So stay in touch and share. After about a year-long hiatus, the North Adams Happening Weekly e-blast will start again soon. It'll probably be a couple of weeks before it starts, but by June, it'll be up and running again. It stopped largely because our city policy was to not promote anything that was happening, just for safety concerns and just being not overly cautious, but with an abundance of cautious for the community's health. Now that things are reopening, we're going to start it up again. There's lots of events happening. People want to know about it. They want to get back out. And hopefully we'll have the capacity to do that again and make sure that everyone knows what's happening. So if you are already subscribed and just haven't seen it in a year, it's not because you fell off the list. It's because we haven't done an issue in about a year. We will start it back up. If you are not already on the subscription, there's a long link that you're not going to write down. We're going to send you that in your email, and then you can click on it and fill out that information to be added to the weekly e-blast. If you don't want a weekly e-blast, you can go to explorenorthadams.com. That calendar is going to get updated in the next 2 weeks and have all of these events on there, and then they'll be updated as they're announced. And if you would like to submit an event to be added to that calendar, to the e-blast, on the top of the explorenorthadams.com city events page, there is a submission form, and that will start becoming active again. So that is my spiel. I'm excited to see this city hopping again. It's going to be a great summer. Now we'll stop again for any questions.
Pause for questions. Anyone? Does anyone have any questions about Suzy's wonderful presentation? I'm excited to see so much happening.
Me too. It's why I moved here.
Folks, like Lisa or yourself, Colleen, explained to guests how to navigate these events. Like, should they say, you know, if you want to wear a mask, wear it, or, you know, how should we navigate those things? I'm sure you have no idea, but
No, I mean,
for me, like, the nice thing is running the farmers market last summer, the things we would run into is, like, it was a double-sided thing. So people would come to the market without their mask, citing medical reasons, and we have to respect that. And we try to find other ways, because we were also delivering. We deliver to their home. We'd say, we can deliver this to, we can make sure you access this market in different ways. We really want you to have a mask if you're coming in here, but they would still get really upset. And then you'd get people that were wearing their masks that would come and complain about the people that weren't wearing the masks, because they were super upset about that. And the nice thing about the restrictions being lifted, and it's largely because of the vaccination rates where they are, and the mortality rates with COVID right now, things like that, hospitalization rates, is why this is all happening. The nice thing about where we're at is, if you're still uncomfortable with the idea of just not having masks on and being really close to people, you don't have to.
Yeah.
You can still attend these events. You can wear your mask. You can have a bottle of hand sanitizer. You can wear gloves. You can like create a space around you where people aren't near you. That's okay. We respect that. We understand why you're still nervous. It's been traumatic for everybody. A lot of people have died. It's a huge deal. But at this point, we don't have to enforce saying you have to do this.
And
You
I think
can
it's
choose where your
different
comfort
for
level
like a
is.
town event and at like a hotel per se.
Yeah.
Like when we move more into the hospitality portion of the presentation, like in 45 seconds,
45 seconds.
we'll talk about how like these COVID regulations that were passed by the governor are great for the residents of Massachusetts, but we're not talking about the residents of Massachusetts that are coming here. People are coming here from places with vaccination rates that are a lot less than Massachusetts. So we need to account for that and keep our staff safe and keep ourselves safe. If that means wearing a mask, then that's what we're going to do. So maybe we should just dive in. Wait, does anyone have any other questions about North Adams events? Okay, great.
You'll get my email address.
You're gonna get Suzy's whole situation. So we're gonna talk now about basically what's happening in the hospitality industry in general. We're gonna talk about some big picture things and where North Adams fits into the big picture as a regional destination. What type of people are coming here, where they're coming here from, and how to get them in the door of your local business. So just some tips for working with local hospitalitarians and how to develop guest-facing communications for them. We're going to talk about COVID guidelines when you're working with and hosting people from all over the country. And finally, we're going to talk about guest relations and safety when people aren't necessarily listening to the guidelines that you're putting forth. When they're not having it, they're done with the mask. So I'm just going to talk briefly about some broader travel trends. For those of you who don't know, Tourists is a resort here in North Adams on Route 2 of all places across from the Stop and Shop. We get guests from all over the country, and we love to send them into the community in a safe, responsible way. As a regional destination, there are some things that are specific to North Adams that make us, a really special place to come. And in a way, we've experienced a little bit of a bubble during this COVID time when the hospitality industry in general has been going through a really tough moment. People have still been coming to North Adams, and there's a reason, because it's a magical place and because there's magical people here. So who are these regional travelers? Regional travelers are anyone who's driving by car. That's the definition of a regional traveler. In North Adams in particular, we all know this. This is not news to you. They're from New York and Boston. They're people who want to get out of the city and see some natural beauty. We expect that regional travel will remain hot through 2021. But the big thing that we're anticipating as hotel operators is that when borders start to open and air travel starts to become more of a thing, we'll see a dip. And what we're trying to do right now is prepare for that. So, we have New Yorkers, and Boston is our largest overnight market here in North Adams. There's day trippers from throughout the Northeast that are coming. Another big thing that's happened in the past year and a half, anybody who's on Zillow knows this, the real estate market is incredible. Many travelers in 2020 who would have spent money on a trip to Japan instead bought a house in the Berkshires. We had Pittsfield as the number 6 in-migration destination from people who were moving from cities to rural areas. Rural isn't the word, but you know what I mean.
Which is metro, so it includes
metro. So it includes all of us. So I've experienced this firsthand. Before I was the hotel manager here, I was the director of guest experience, and I literally spoke to every single person who checked into this hotel. And so many of those people ended up becoming my neighbors. We have a lot of people who bought houses in North Adams, who bought land here over the past year and a half, who came to stay and decided they really wanted to stay. And that if nothing else good came out of 2020, it's the fact that that happened. We got a lot of people who decided to make a second or primary home here. Just to share briefly some things that are happening in hospitality for anyone who cares. Average daily rates for resort towns are rising, meaning that hotel rates are going up in places like, you know, Telluride, you know, Stowe, North Adams. We can put ourselves on that list now. Urban hotels were slashing rates in 2020, but they're going to start to see a pop in 2022. People are going to want to go back to the city. God knows I will as soon as it wakes up again. Travelers are willing to invest in safety and in natural, novel experiences. In the past year and a half, the booking window has shrunk incredibly to about 2 weeks. People, because of the uncertainty of the time, really didn't want to plan ahead. They were booking their vacation 2 weeks before it happened. We're starting to see that expand now. People are feeling more comfortable planning ahead. We're seeing our booking window expand to 6 to 8 weeks, which is typical for regional travel. So the takeaways for, you know, the broader trends in hospitality are, when it comes to guest relations, now is the time to make those relationships that will pay dividends throughout the future. So we saw a lot of first-time visitors in 2020. I'm sure we'll see a lot of first-time visitors to North Adams in 2021. We want to get to know them now. We want their email address. We want to know their birthday, their preferences, their anniversaries, because in 2022, when they can choose between flying to the Bahamas or coming to North Adams, we want to make sure they're coming here, because there's nothing that can replace that person-to-person connection. When people have more options, we want to give them a reason to come back. So this is the time to really get to know your customer, whether that means you're, you know, gathering data on anyone who comes into the door, or it just means like getting their phone number and like checking in every now and again, you know, like, hey, how's your father? So getting tourists in the door is something that I think there's a lot of different ways to do it, but there's one way that I know personally from personal experience, and that's really what I'm going to share with you guys today. I will say, if there's one thing that I can express that I didn't know before I ran a hotel, it is that it takes a lot of time, and you don't have as much time as you'd like to actually be out there in the community, getting to know what's going on, experiencing the events, going to the restaurants and going to the bars. So as much as you can take initiative to reach out to the proprietors of hotels and Airbnbs and let them know what's happening, that will pay off big time. The best example I can think about this is the break room. When the break room opened last summer, they sent me an email every week with their menu in PDF form, a link to, you know, their updated website, and the times of their dinner services. I could take that information and just put it right in my weekly email to my front desk agents, and I could attach that PDF into my text message system for all of the guests. So they made it so easy for me to send them business. I sent them as many people as I could because it was just nice of them to do that for me. So I recommend, if you can, develop guest-facing communications that are easy for hotel operators to send out. We are mostly operating on like a contactless system with our guests at this point. We use a text message system called Whistle, and anything that can be texted to guests. I think that contactless is here to stay. So anything that is easy for us to push out to guests, it's usually a link that says exactly what's going on in your business. That's great. That makes it really easy for me to let the guests read for themselves what's going on. Basically anything that's easy for me to give to a front desk agent that they can digest and you know, easily communicate to the guests is amazing. What guests ask about. So, you know, we have, you know, a lot. This is not very surprising. This is what guests ask about wherever they go. But the most important thing to take away from this slide is like, they just want to spend money. Like they want to go shopping. They want to go to the restaurants. They want to go to the bars. They want to go to a downtown area where they can pop in and pop out. They really want to go shopping. So I'm so excited to see a lot of new retail spots opening up in the area and having a lot of new places to send these guests, because that's what they want to do. They want to take a piece of North Adams home. So now we're going to get into the COVID portion. Does anybody have any questions about anything in terms of hospitality in general before we move into Governor Baker's new announcement? No? I paused too soon. See? Happened again. So as I mentioned earlier, like, we are not at all like in a post-COVID society, but we're on our way to trying to be. So why are people coming to Massachusetts during COVID? I personally think that the best, PR we possibly could get is the fact that we are leading the nation in vaccinations, with 75% of adults receiving at least one dose. New cases have dropped 89%. Obviously, you guys all know this. Read the news. You're not looking at me to tell you what's happening with COVID, but I will say that it is a point of pride that people are coming here because they know it's safe and because they know that people in Massachusetts believe in science. The travel advisory I put up here just so you guys are aware that this is still in effect. There has not been any motion to rescind the travel advisory. The big exemptions here are testing negative and travelers who are fully vaccinated. So as a hotel, we're welcoming people from, across the nation sometimes. And it's important that we push this out to every single guest that comes to the hotel. So this gets into the guest's inbox or phone 3 times before they arrive at the hotel. Vaccination passports, are they going to happen? The state's pushing it to the federal level. The federal level's pushing it to the private sector. It's probably a thing, but not quite yet. Do I really have to check someone's vaccination card? That's totally up to you. Like I said, this is still very much in development. Someone can make a fake vaccination card. As private business owners, we're not really qualified or obligated to check someone's vaccination card. My best behavior and tourists' overall statements as the beginning has basically just to behave as though no one is vaccinated and to do our best to err on the side of caution. And that's actually proven to our benefit because people have really appreciated coming to a place where they feel people are overreacting. So I think I went too far. Suzy, how do I go back?
I don't know. Oh, you got it.
Oh, I did it. So I think the important thing as we digest the governor's new regulations is to just remember that that is the baseline. You can do whatever makes sense for your business. Some, businesses will continue indoor masking. They'll continue social distancing, masking, and monitoring volume, creating outdoor spaces and increasing ventilation in indoor spaces. These are all things that will only make your guests feel safer and make them feel, personally, I believe, more inclined to come to your business. In terms of guest communication, I think that in this time of COVID, the thing that we've tried to do is to over communicate with our guests about what the expectations are. So we personally do, thank you. We send out 3 things to our guests before they get here. There's a COVID dedicated website, there's a pre-stay email, and there's a pre-stay survey. And these are all things that help us get to know our guests and do all of the work up front so that once they get here, they can relax. Once they actually do get here, there's a welcome spiel. So the minute they come to the front desk, they get a very short 2-sentence snippet about our mask policy. And finally, when we do see people who have forgotten the policy for whatever reason, we try to be empathetic with that. I know you're on vacation, but remember, put your mask on. So, we've definitely had some times where there were people who didn't read any of those communications, and then they just came to the hotel and we had to deal with it, in real time. But by doing a lot of the work beforehand, it just sets you up for success, and it creates a more seamless and relaxing experience once the guest is actually here. So I think I would recommend that for literally any small business. Anytime that you can have a guest enter your business and have in literally 15 seconds a nice warm welcome that also explains what the rules are, they're going to feel better. Information is control, and as soon as somebody knows what's going on, then they can navigate that space and feel relaxed, even if it's a weird environment. So we can talk towards the end of the presentation about like problem solving. If you have guests who come into your store who you feel like aren't complying, and we can maybe share out some ways that we've dealt with that in the past. And then finally, I have here some samples of guest communication. This might not work for every business, but we created a tourist oh, is that going to show up? I don't know if they can see it. Yeah. So we created a guest dedicated website, which spells out everything the guest needs to know before they book here, with regards to safety, reservations, what to know when they're getting ready to come here, and then also a page that's just dedicated to guests who are staying at the hotel. Another thing that we did was created basically like a Google form. It's a pre-stay survey. These are helpful for us in basically helping to create a contactless experience for the guests. So if they want something in their room beforehand, if there's something they're interested in doing, if there's information that they're curious about, we can get all of that to them before they arrive, and then the ball's in their court. If they want to come and see us and talk to us, that is totally up to them, but they can have a fully independent experience if that's what they prefer. So yeah, this is where we pause for questions and talk about our new life. How you're doing. Yeah.
Actually, we can put it away, right?
Yeah, you can put it away.
Okay, hold on 1 second.
Here we all are.
There's everybody.
This is very useful information, Colleen. I appreciate it.
I have a question. This is Amy. I'm curious if you've had any experience or have advice to business owners who have employees who don't want to wear a mask or are kind of, unsure about coming back, or, can you speak to just some of the challenges with employees?
Yes. I mean, a company policy is a company policy. And in most cases, you have to have a medical reason not to wear to make an exception for a company policy. So we had one instance where that came up in the past year, and that's all it was. We needed to have the doctors know for a reason this person could not physically wear a mask while they were at work. So it's the beauty of working in the private sector is that you can make your own rules, right? And you can decide what is the safest thing for your guests and for your staff. And like I said earlier, like the state recommendation is the baseline. It's just a starting point. You always want to be thinking more critically about different scenarios that happen in your business that are specific to your business that the state might not be considering when they're putting out recommendations, right? Like the state isn't thinking when they're putting out these recommendations about my housekeepers who are going into people's rooms and touching their trash. So yeah, in terms of employee compliance, there's got to be a medical reason, and that's kind of the end of it. And there was a part 2 to your question. What was that, Amy?
No, I think that was really useful. I think the other part was people who didn't want to come back. Like you have employees, but they're not sure to come back.
Oh, well, this is like a hospitality industry crisis. Yeah. So, you know, one of the things that's happening all across the country is that restaurants and hotels and, you know, any hospitality establishments are reopening, but people don't want to come back to work. And I get it. It's messy. Like, I'm in the dish room too. It's not a great place to be during a pandemic, watching people dishes. But I think that over time, as vaccination rates climb, people will come back to work, and they'll remember the magic of being on the floor. But yeah.
So just to follow up, do you have any suggestions on what business owners can do to appreciate or value their employees during this kind of situation in this time?
Yeah, pay them.
Yeah, pay them.
Pay your employees a living wage. Yeah, I mean, we're lucky. We've had incredible employee retention at the hotel. I think we've had one person leave since in the past year. But I think you've got to make work fun, especially in a time like this. Like, if you're, you know, it's got to be fun. It's got to be worthwhile. It's got to be busy. You know, nobody wants to put themselves in danger. You know, I mean, it's not the same as it was, but nobody wants to mask up and leave the house and be in close proximity with strangers unless they feel valued, unless they're having fun, unless they feel like they're getting paid.
Well, it's a double whammy too of like having to put yourself at risk for a
Right.
job, but not being able to do any of the things that we all do to relieve the stress from having our jobs.
Right.
Like
right.
The connecting with your friends, your neighbors, your family, going out with people and socializing, and
Right,
like sacrificing those things, but still having to be in an industry where you have to be at the office every day.
Yeah.
But can't do the fun stuff.
Well, I've said since the hotel reopened last July, like, I am so thankful that I can leave my house every day and come to work. And I think that a lot of, I see Michaela nodding her head, like, it is a luxury to not have to work from home right now and to be able to interact with people. Like, it's been a blessing, and I'll take the masks and the gloves and the dish room any day of the week. So I think that people who are hospitalitarians, who are extroverts, feel that, and those are the people who are coming back to work.
Go ahead, Jess.
Oh, I was just gonna praise all of what Colleen was just saying about that, because as someone who works in this industry, I totally, like, I haven't left the jobs that I get paid really well. And part of that is like from the top, feeling like your team and your supervisors support you, and then you are like a badass team to the people, and then they tip you more. You know, it just like it like is a full circle thing. And like, we're all dealing with the challenges and stress of a thing that we have no control over, and if we can do anything to just be mindful of that and recognize it and support each other and have fun, and you know, like, and like try to find fun in as many areas as we can, we get through it that much better. And I see that from peers too. Like, I know a lot of people in this industry and in this town who are like, how do I survive and navigate this anxiety and X, Y, and Z? And they're going to the jobs that are paying them the most in this time, because it's hard work. And like, we have been in, yeah, we're doing the dishes, you know, like That's not a minimum wage job. I'm sorry. That is like the most challenging job in this time right now. So, yeah. And I also just see people like, choosing to do what makes them happy, because we've all, we all just want to be happy. So anyway, I appreciate that answer, Colleen.
Thanks, Jess. I appreciate you.
I would like to say I appreciate the teachers. They're educating my children back in the classroom, because
Yeah.
I wouldn't be able to be back in the office and doing this
Yeah.
if they weren't taking care of my children and educating them.
Yeah.
That's also awesome. Even though it's almost summer, it's still great.
It's still great.
I think that's all we have for you.
That's
guys.
all we got, guys.
That's
I
our
think,
wealth of information.
yeah.
Does anyone have any other questions?
That was awesome, you guys.
I think that's a testament. I think you spread enough information. Everyone's speechless.
Again, one more time, if you're not signed up for the e-blasts, we'll send you the links to sign up because they will start soon. I promise, like the next week or two.
All those links are also in the chat, so get those before it ends, but it'll also go out in an email after with this recording.